Cosmic ether exists, implications for modern physics. This is the second part, as I described previously. And from the last lecture, we covered the historical concepts of ether, ether as a carrier for light and electromagnetic waves, ether as a ubiquitous fluid medium filling all space, penetrating into and through matter, present in the vacuum. There is no vacuum, really. Once considered a gravitational prime mover. Michelson's interferometer, this was described, Michelson-Morley experiment, positive results, never had a null or zero result as widely reported in every textbook. They are all wrong on that. They got 5 to 7.5 kilometers per second ether wind velocity. And again, this is a substantial velocity. It's something that if I told you I had a car that could move at 5 kilometers per second, your eyes would bug out of your head and you want to see it demonstrated. Miller took his apparatus up on Mount Wilson, 1,700 meters altitude, or almost 6,000 feet, to overcome what he called Earth entrainment, that the ether, as it moved towards the surface of the Earth, hit the atmosphere, it hit mountains and the surface features of the Earth, and thereby was slowed down. It also ran into itself as it became more substantive, as it condensed, getting closer to the surface of planetary surfaces. So an entrainable ether always had a different set of properties from an ether which was proclaimed to have no properties at all. And a lot of the dismissal of ether came in those years when they thought that the ether had no physical properties at all, which is not the case. So again, Miller organized his work over sidereal hour, showing a cosmical, galactic type of set of vectors, whereas when organized by civil clock time, in other words, the 24-hour clock turning of the Earth, showed no clear pattern at all. That, in my opinion, is one of the clearest proofs of it. And this motional diagram I have here is based in part upon Miller's work and also Reich's cosmic superimposition, but it all agrees with conventional astronomy. Conventional astronomy accepts that the Earth not only goes around the sun, but that the sun is in motion towards Vega, and that this is in a very general way towards the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It's sort of like the solar system is moving up like so, but the center of the galaxy is the ultimate apparent destination. Another scientist who talked about this spiraling motion in an important way was Giorgio Piccardi. He had this idea of something in the cosmos that caused reactions of simple phase change chemistry, such as the freezing of supercooled water inside a laboratory freezer, which he could plot out having a kind of dependency upon the velocity of the Earth as it moved around the sun, as the sun moved through the galaxy. Okay? And he pointed out that the higher up you go in altitude, the greater was this effect. Frank Brown, the external cosmic biological clock scientist I was talking about in the prior presentation, he found that there was all kinds of different animals with different variables: woodchuck food intake, potato oxygen consumption, algyl nitrate reduction, planarian gamma ray responses, bean energy and oxygen consumption, and bean seed water uptake. I did experiments with bean seed water uptake and confirmed some of the stuff that Brown showed a lunar cycle in that, a lunar periodicity, but also a solar, seasonal and a solar sunspot variable, a sidereal day variable, also sunspots. But this chart shows a sidereal day variation, which again goes from approximately 6 to 7 hours sidereal towards approximately 16 to 17 hours sidereal. Same axis, as the ether drift experiments shown in the laboratory findings. This particular is the consumption of oxygen by potatoes. And this is inside of a hermetically sealed container. He's growing potatoes, measuring the oxygen consumption. And that experiment went on for many, many years in order to accumulate this sidereal day effect. Nobody talks about him anymore. He was a dean scholar of Northwestern University in the biology department. Later, he was a luminary at Woods Hole Institute. Today, they don't know him. I've already talked about the illuminating blue bions, the blue glowing vacuum tubes, the seed sprouting experiments and other things, his cosmic superimposition, the importance of this. He talked about spiral hurricanes, spiral galaxies, spiral forms in beings and fetuses and biological forms, reminding of a book by Darcy Thompson called On Growth and Form. Before the era of Watson and Crick and their DNA biochemical discussion on how nature makes replications of organ structures. And this project has come in under criticism because of what they're doing here. So what they started doing, actually the neutrino detection experiments also, they expanded the definition of what it is they were looking for, and now they get more of it. Now, the doctors do this too. If there are not enough cancer victims in a particular society, they expand the diagnostic criterion. Now we got a lot of people who have marginal, borderline, or no cancer at all, but you know, by God, if you give healthy people a lot of chemotherapy, and they're more likely to survive it, and your statistics for survival rates goes up. You think I'm joking. I'm not. Big Bang creationism, that's what I call it. It's no better than biblical creation, actually. Flaws in redshifts as cosmic distance indicators. This is another problem. This was Halton Arp's work showing that many flaws in using redshifting as a distance indicator because you have objects interacting, one with a high redshift, one with a low redshift, other things like this. And that was solved by deporting Halton Arp out of the United States to Germany. He took a job with the Max Planck Institute because they basically forbid him from making any more of his dirty pictures at the big Palomar telescope, which he helped to build. Flaws in the 30-degree cosmic microwave background radiation, the CMBR theory. The effect is extremely tiny. I talked about that before. The 3-degree black body Kelvin radiation has an anisotropy of only 0.00057. So this variation they're getting all excited by and building a gigantic edifice theory, which is like an upside-down pyramid. And it's resting upon this, the one unproven assumption that the ether does not exist, that space is empty. You know? So once it's like Einstein said, the whole theory collapses like a house of cards, not just Einstein. And Einstein, when he was old, looking back on his life, this is a quote from him about 5 years before he died. You can imagine that I look back on my life's work with calm satisfaction. But from nearby, it looks quite different. There's not a single concept of which I am convinced that it will stand firm, and I feel uncertain whether I am in general on the right track. That was at his 70th birthday, a letter to Maurice Solvine, one of his friends, 1949. And that's found in the books. I give citations on all these quotes because I think they're important for history and yet rarely mentioned. Again, my book goes into all of these issues in great detail with plenty of citations for those who need it and want to dig deeper. So I think I will end there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
About 5 years ago, we had a speaker here that went into great detail on the Einstein, Cartan, Evans theory. It's been around since 2003. It's been actively suppressed, similar to Reich. Many, many papers have been written since that time. None of them published in the open thing, but by digital publications. Thousands and thousands of universities have looked at this data. It's being hidden from the general population.
What was the second name you gave there?
Cartan.
Cartan. See, I don't even know this. So.
Okay. The point is, they've proven that all of the theoretical astronomy is out to lunch.
Mm-hmm.